Audience here, John Ohm checking in from Winnipeg. He says, good morning, RPShow. Wayne in BC, good morning, Rod Squad. Carlos in Indianapolis says, glad to be back at the largest coffee table in sports. Carlos gets it. He understands that we are the view for sports fans. That's it. We don't take each other very seriously around here. That's obvious. And we just want to have fun and talk sports, and that's exactly what it is. Nobody's trying to be smarter than anybody else, because here's the secret. We ain't. But Moose did mention this. So last night there was a knock at the door. And I just thought it was one of the myriad of things that Serena orders from Amazon daily. No big deal. So I didn't even go outside to check on it. But I did go out later because I was on that Twitter space last night, which I'll get to in my quick six. And there was this large box there. And I thought, what could she have ordered from Amazon? It's big. And then I looked at the sender. I'm like, Canadian Football League. Oh, dun, dun, dun. So you asked what they sent. There's a photo on all of my social media of what it was, but I want to thank the guys at the CFL and girls. This didn't make the photo, but it's the official guide and record book, which I read these things cover to cover. Thank you guys for still publishing it. I love it so much. Facts and figures, history, stats, it's my kind of thing. People are calling this a Gilligan hat. I think the official term is a bucket hat. And you know how much I love these, Darren. I picked one of those up when we were in Charlotte, right, from USA Football. Couple ball caps that if I'm feeling frisky, I might have a contest a little later sometime to win one of these things. We'll see. I feel like my guy, Matt DeBuck, down the road in Fort Lauderdale, the coach of the Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs, might want one of these hats. So we'll see. A thermos from the Grey Cup. And then a handwritten note from the Canadian Football League, which I learned a long time ago with my mom or my dad. I'm not sure which one, but you write a handwritten note, it just means personal touch, class, and that's the Canadian Football League. And for you, and as I said to Kevin the Medium this morning, it doesn't take much. Now I want to talk about the CFL for 2 solid hours now. And you just said all the shows are packed with NFL talk, which they are. So why wouldn't we sit here and talk about the Canadian Football League? What did our boss say, Joe, the CEO? Fish where the fish are. Fish are biting, man. So, and the football. So when Lucas asked for my address from the CFL, he goes, we have some stuff for your set. All these things could go on the set, but I think I'm going to leave this here. What do you think? It looks good, huh?
I think it looks great. I think you have to leave it there. Yeah, it's coming together.
All right, so can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan?
How about that?
And we will get down to business. We do have a lot of CFL stuff coming up, but we can't ignore the fact. It's the opening night in the National Football League, and I'm glad to hear you say that you've been following all the coverage on ESPN today, because I have not. I've been doing stuff, running down to the beach to take pictures. I'm taking photos, man. I'm a photographer now. Didn't you hear?
Yes.
The Kansas City Chiefs will raise their Super Bowl championship banner tonight before tonight's NFL season opener against the Detroit Lions. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes will be under center, but the Chiefs could be missing tight end Travis Kelce and lineman Chris Jones. Kelce has a knee injury, and Jones is holding out for a new deal. It's not like I don't know what's going on. Kelce just hyperextended his knee. Was it yesterday or the day before? This is somewhat of a new injury, right? What? I'm not going to be getting into the fantasy football stuff, probably not going to be playing it at all. Is he listed as out, questionable, or what, Travis Kelce, for the game, and how much does that affect the game, do you think?
Questionable, and we're going to know, I think, around 6:15 if he's going to play or not. It'll be right down to the wire. And from everything I've read and everything I've watched, I would suggest he's probably not going to play. Andy Reid and the Chiefs are typically pretty cautious about this stuff. They play the long game. They know that they're going to be there at the end or be in the conversation, so no need to risk something serious by forcing him to play in week one. So he's probably not going to play. It will affect the team a little bit, especially you're working in some new weapons. You know, you're the defending champs. You're playing a really tough team in Detroit all of a sudden who's been really good and getting better. He's your safety and your security blanket, so it will make things different. And now they're talking about, you know, all of these things. The environment is kind of shaping up to really favor the Lions in this game if Kelce doesn't play.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Fam, go download the Bet Regal app right now. There is no other app that I've seen that has the odds for every single football game, obviously NFL, college football, and also the Canadian Football League. They're our official betting partner, Bet Regal. They've got all the odds, and tonight they got Kansas City favored by 5. Tomorrow we'll be playing official Week 1 NFL Deal or No Deal, but sneak peek. Are you taking the bet, Moose? Chiefs by 5 tonight over Detroit? What do you think?
I'm not going to take the bet. I won't.
Ooh.
I think the Lions are going to shock the world. I do. I really like Dan Campbell and what he's done over there in Detroit.
Yeah, he's done a great job. Just to be the fly in the ointment, I will take the deal. But as far as the Chris Jones holdout and stuff, and you saw that he said, yeah, you give me my contract, I can play tomorrow. I've seen all the comments. It's not like I totally checked out. I'm just not watching it 24/7 because it drives me crazy. I've realized, what did I say the other day? Just turn your television off, bro, and the radio and your phone, and you'll restore yourself to some sanity. But Chris Jones has said, I just want to raise. Guess what, Chris Jones? Don't we all? So good luck with that, and I'm not paying attention to the drama of his holdout. So anyways, before we move on, poll question today for Key Auto Group is who will be the NFL MVP? With the Key Auto Group, most vehicles receive a lifetime engine warranty guaranteed. Go to keyautogroup.ca/thekeyadvantage. For eligibility and maintenance requirements, the Key Auto Group here to take care of you. I have not, well, I guess I could look it up on Twitter. I haven't looked since I posted it to who's leading. These are the top 3, by the way, from our betting partner, Bet Regal. Futures bet, who will be the NFL MVP? Here we go. Leading the way, well, here's what it is. I put other, okay, as an option. So I got Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, or other. 40% are saying other. And then 27% saying Joe Cool, Joe Burrow of the Bengals. 20% saying Patrick Mahomes, and 13% saying Josh Allen. And, yeah. I'll just put Patrick Mahomes. I haven't put 2 seconds of thought in it. I like him. He's on the best team. So who are you voting for in the poll, Moose?
If Joe Burrow's healthy, I'm going to vote for Joe Burrow. I think with that, Jamar Chase, another year older, and he's going to be really dynamic, setting up for maybe his best year. So I'll go Joe Burrow with an outside look at Justin Herbert. I'm really curious, and I haven't heard much about the Chargers in the offseason. Seems like we've kind of forgotten about him a little bit. I'm really curious about L.A. and Justin Herbert.
Well, they got the Dolphins in there on Sunday, and you can imagine our guy Joe Rose. He was all talking about packing up and getting ready for the road trip out to L.A. with the Dolphins because he's the morning man on radio, former Dolphin tight end, and also does the color commentary. So that's a hell of a matchup. That's a really good matchup, the Chargers and the Dolphins in Week 1, right? And Vic Fangio, the new defensive coordinator, you don't think he's, for the Fins, he's going to have something all cooked up for Justin Herbert? So I think Herbert's in the top 4 because of the big ticket he just signed. What's the new word in football? He got the bag? Is that what it is? He got the bag in the offseason? Where did that come from? So I guess they're expecting him to live up to it. By the way, the EMJ Marketing text line is open, 902-518-3033, 902-518-3033. Just for those that have come here for the CFL talk today, I'm dedicating like the entire next segment to the Canadian Football League. So don't get your panties in a bunch. We're just sitting back and largest coffee table discussion in sports right now, daytime sports television and the radio in Atlanta. And the reason I bring that up is a couple hockey notes. Number 2, I was on that Twitter space last night. I represented the Tampa Bay Lightning, and quite frankly, it was fun doing it. We had reps from every team in the NHL's Atlantic Division. I saw Allie checked in from Texas. She was listening there along with John from Edmonton. Some of our regular Rod squad were there. It was fun, Moose. Have you ever participated or even listened to a Twitter space? It's just like talk radio. So I'm sitting there listening to the other guys talk. I'm like, this feels like talk radio.
That's exactly
kind of cool.
It's talk radio. Yeah, it is really cool. I've listened to a few. I haven't participated in one, but maybe that's something I got to check off the bucket list because you're right. They are cool and a neat little way to get involved. Remember, there was the app called, I think, something Crowd something. Clubhouse, that's what it was. Now this is what it is. This is the new version of Clubhouse. It's starting to be integrated into the different social medias.
Well, I'm sitting there listening to some guys and gals that really knew their hockey last night, and I'm like, I'm quite into this. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody else here is talking hockey right now. So it was nice to kind of get into the Florida-Tampa Bay thing and then talk. Oh, and that was my point, by the way. Everybody, all in sundry, had the Toronto Maple Leafs picked to be number one in the Atlantic Division. And I wonder how that makes you feel, because there's always just a ginormous amount of pressure on the Leafs to begin with. And now they're going into the season pegged as number one. Universal. How do you feel about that?
That's the last thing that they need, is for people to say, this is their year. This is our year.
You guys say that anyway. You say that anyway.
But you're setting yourself up to be let down, and it's tough to, just be patient, play the year. But, that's at the same time, what do winners want, right? They want to be at the top of the mountain, and they want to say, look, we're there. Come get us. And you have that expectation to be there. So we all have it, and we all say, okay, we picked Toronto to be first. I hope in that locker room they have an expectation that they're supposed to be first, and then go out and play like it.
Here's the difference, Dupes. Every year, you people, Leaf fans, say this is our year. What I'm saying here is now everybody's saying this is your year. That's the difference. You know what I mean? Which, incidentally, by the way, I was getting my hair cut, as you can see, last night, largely late yesterday afternoon, and by a gal that I gotten to know, Melissa. She's really cool. And she said the phrase, you people, triggers her. And I had to sit there and think about that for a second. Her dad's from Jamaica. Her mom's from Mexico, just to give you an idea, genetic makeup. And she goes, you people triggers me. We didn't have time to get into the fact that, and it was the first time she was cutting my hair and she was holding scissors. So I didn't want to drop the, that is literally your problem. If you're triggered by something, you need to find out why. I'm not going to get into a life recovery lesson right now, but I'm just saying that came up yesterday. You see why some people are triggered from the phrase. Still doesn't make it right that Don Cherry got fired. Now, the other thing, Chris Dingman was on this show yesterday, two-time Stanley Cup champion, and he said zero chance, as you know, that the Edmonton Oilers and Toronto Maple Leafs will meet in the Stanley Cup final, because he says one reason the Leafs are too busy worrying about the wrong things, i.e. what they're wearing to the rink, like Austin Matthews in his Christmas sweater with the bows. And that drew the ire of some of our viewers. A lot of Leaf fans watching. We're big in Eastern Canada, as you know. How'd you feel about that?
I know. And on the outset, he's not wrong. I mean, until you see this group take that step, and I think we have to still acknowledge that they took a step forward. I mean, as much as we can say winning a playoff round is taking a step forward for this group and that team, it is a step forward. It's an accomplishment. It's a monkey off the back. And yeah, it didn't work out after that. But so you're right. Like, he's right. If they're not getting the job done, you can look at these things and say they're too focused on other things, hanging out with Justin Bieber and being in the big city, doing photo shoots, slicking your hair back, blah, blah, blah. And it's right. On the other side of it, you talked about Don Cherry. That's one of the great things he used to do, is show that stuff on Coach's Corner and in the pregame shows. That's one of the things that is great about hockey, is when you get the personality and stuff out. So I like that they do it, but it can't come at the expense of not being focused on hockey. And so far, we haven't seen anything to prove that they've been nailed and focused down in the playoffs.
He's not ruling out that the Oilers will make the Stanley Cup final and maybe win it. And by the way, he's from Edmonton and lives there, Chris Dingman, but he says there's zero chance the Leafs will. And as far as the Calgary Flames making the playoffs, he said, can you put me down for a maybe? And I'm like, that's not much to go on, Reg. But anyways, our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head down to the tap room Thursday through Saturday, so beginning today, noon till 8 p.m. It's their own club, their own bar at Common Crown Brewing. I've been there. It's beautiful. Check out Common Crown Brewing Company at commoncrown.ca. CFL Players Association has launched a complaint against the CFL for Monday's game in Calgary. Unsafe working conditions. We are getting close to kickoff of Week 14. We'll play Deal or No Deal. A lot of CFL stuff coming up, because we love us some CFL here on the RP Show on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Letting her rip on episode 1076 of the RP Show. And checking in from the Rod Squad before we pick back up with a quick 6 show topics here from our guy Jack Fulton in Calgary area, Vulcan, Alberta. He says, it's great to tune into the best damn live sports talk show on the planet. Love the Rod Squad. We love you, Jack. He's a Stampeders guy, and he is our biggest supporter in Calgary. And that's saying something, because there are a lot. I'm here in South Florida getting ready for Week 14 in the CFL. Moose is in Toronto. Let's bring him in if you don't mind, and I appreciate chiming in. I'll get to as many of your comments as I can. I will tell you that the EMJ Marketing text line is open, and that is at 902-518-3033. EMJ Marketing will provide you with the best keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com. Larry in Medicine Hat writes in on that text line, Moose, and he says, good morning, Rod and Moose. I'm going to my first NFL game in Minnesota. Go Vikes! Hoping Riders will beat Winnipeg. Have a good weekend. You too, Larry, and travel safely. So, Darren, I'm wondering if this is on your radar. CFL Players Association says Occupational Health and Safety in Alberta is investigating the CFL's decision to play the Edmonton Elks Calgary Stampeders game this past Monday despite smoky conditions in Calgary. Stamps rallied from a 15-point deficit to beat the Elks 35-31 at McMahon Stadium. The game was played despite Environment Canada's Air Quality Health Index for Calgary measuring between 8 and 10 throughout the day because of smoke in the air. The CFL and the Players Association have a policy that's been in place since 2019 that states on-field activities are to either be canceled or ceased when the air quality rating exceeds 7. CFLPA feels Monday's game shouldn't have been played. The union says it twice informed the CFL in writing before the opening kickoff and afterwards that the contest shouldn't go ahead because of unsafe work conditions. I'm wondering where you fall on that. It's a tough one. There's quotes in the story. I'm not going to read them, but Brian Ramsey, the president of the Players Association, is very upset. Executive director. The CFL, the quotes that I've seen, Darren, are basically saying they feel they didn't do anything wrong. So that probably should surprise no one. It's a dicey situation. Have you seen any complaints from players at all? Have you? Because that's the one thing. I haven't seen any complaints from any players at all. Hey, is it just me that can't hear Darren or everybody else? Can't hear you, Moose. Okay, hit refresh, Moose. And while you do that, Kevin the Medium has checked in. He says, it will be interesting. This is in the comments. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this investigation into Monday's game. It was a horribly smoky day. I had to stay inside because of it. Flyover couldn't happen because of it. I guess I'm sitting here. Okay, we got Darren here. And we had your mic muted, Darren, they tell me. I want to support the CFL, but I do. I don't laugh. I want to support them.
Yes.
But we're partners with the Players Association on, like, legit. We have a contract with the Players Association with the spotlight, and they're on opposing sides right now. It's a tough one. And basically, Brian Ramsey said, if I can paraphrase for him, the players are always going to want to play. They needed to be stopped, is what Ramsey's saying. And the show must go on, brother. You could have staged a walkout. You played the game. It's easy to sit back. I'm going to side with the CFL on this one. That's my take. You?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying I was following this throughout the day. The smoky weather, the increased the index of the air quality index, and they were talking about. I saw that there was strong winds, and they're expecting this to blow over by game day. And sure enough, they went ahead and played the game. So I thought, nothing wrong. Never heard anything from players. But I also didn't hear that the CFLPA had given the CFL written notice twice saying they didn't think the game should go ahead. So my question is, how did the CFL respond to the Players Association? What was their response to that? Their concerns. I believe if the winds moved in and lowered the air quality to a number that was 7 or less or whatever their threshold is, then they were fine to play the game. I mean, it's so tough because if you don't play the game, now you got to reschedule a game. And are the players going to be upset when you're asking a team to play 2 games in 5 days, or to play 3 games in 10 days, or to squeeze it in and lose your bye week, or, A, B, C, D, all 25 other scenarios that might be worse. I don't like taking the players' health into jeopardy. If it was bad, I don't like it. My concern is around, if they gave them written notice, how did they respond? But at the same time, I think the CFL has to choose between 2 unfortunate scenarios. Put this game ahead or risk, another situation where they're not going to be happy when you force them to play and squeeze that game in.
Well, it's become a political football, pardon the pun, but I'll say a couple things. Number one, if the players were that concerned about it, they should have refused to take in the field. What did I say? That football's the ultimate hindsight game. That's X's and O's, but here's another example. We played the game, and then we're going to protest. You shouldn't have gone out there in the first place, guys. And Brian Ramsey's saying players are always going to want to play. I get that. You shouldn't have refused to take to the field if you were that worried about it. That's my take. Now, I want to get this right. So this is why I'm not going to paraphrase what the CFL says about this, because you're asking what their side of it is. Here's a statement from a CFL spokesman. Before the Labor Day Classic in Calgary, beginning at noon, air quality readings were taken inside McMahon Stadium every 30 minutes until the conclusion of the game. Each of those readings was shared with the league office, the Players Association, and the two teams. This procedure is consistent with protocol for games where there has been a potential threat to air quality, as has been the case for a number of games this season. All readings taken during warm-ups and throughout the game were considered moderate. As is the case with all matters, the CFL is happy to discuss all procedures and practices with our partners at the CFL Players Association. And Brian Ramsey, who we referenced earlier, the executive director of the Players Association, said, none of our guys want to shut things down. Our guys want to play football. The CFL wants to put our members in harm's way, risking long-term consequences. This is coming from the same group that vehemently opposes workers' compensation or any type of long-term rehabilitation for long-term injuries. That's about all that I want to say about this. I respect both sides as well. I love both sides. It's a tough one. I don't know, is this going to go to mediation? What do they expect or hope it's going to happen, for one, Darren, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have taken the damn field. And, Brian, if you were playing, because you did play in the league, you would have wanted to play too. So if it was that big a deal, you shouldn't have taken the field. That's my sense. Can we move on, or do you have something else?
No, the final thought for me is simply there doesn't need to be a resolution out of this. You know, Brian Ramsey and the CFLPA can make it known that they were concerned, and at least the players know that, hey, they're looking out and they're at least paying attention and not whatever. The league said we did our due diligence and the ratings were moderate and within reason to play. They did their due diligence. We move on. It feels a little bit like politics.
Jay in Winnipeg writes in and says, smoke also here in Peg City. Horse racing at the Downs canceled due to air conditions. Were the horses complaining?
I don't know.
James in Borden, Manitoba says, the Players Union needs to shut up. It's only one game and none of the players complained. They had a big crowd and rescheduling would have been a nightmare. Kevin the Medium, where we literally love each other, but we are vehemently opposed on many topics. Here's one. He says, following this logic, players can now decide whether they can play after a hit to the head. He's right. Why'd they have to pull Zach Caleros out and put him through concussion protocol in the Labor Day Classic after he got headbutted? You have to save the players from themselves. And in this case, they didn't do that. So, again, enough on this. I'm kind of with you. We've launched a protest. We've registered a complaint. Thank you. Put it in the complaint box over there. We'll get to it next week. By the way, our CFL coverage is brought to you in part by Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com. Couple other points. I think I'm going to save Deal or No Deal till next hour, if you're cool with that, just to keep them, just keep them coming back. Point 5, then, the Canadian men's basketball team is preparing for Friday's semifinal against Serbia at the World Cup in Manila. The Thriller in Manila. It's Canada's first ever appearance in the Final Four at this tournament. The USA will meet Germany in the other semifinal. You're going to ask me, is it getting much play in the States, Moose, on the FIBA tournament? I don't even know what that is, FIBA. If you just said it's like the World Cup of soccer or hockey, that's what it is, World Cup. I didn't know that. I thought it was some low-level minor league thing till I started to dig into it. And ESPN Sports Center's they're all over it. They're showing the Slovenia-Canada highlights. We always joke about USA, it's just American highlights. And for the Olympics, that's what they do. But for this, no, there was a big deal that Luka Doncic went down. The Canadian team took out Slovenia, man. That's getting a lot of coverage. So I will just say, I'm obviously not anti-basketball, but I'm not going to sit here and analyze the bloody game. I don't know enough about it. It's exciting, though. What do you think?
Yeah, very exciting. And, you know, I talk about all the Canadians that are now playing in the NBA at a high level and impacting and winning championships. So, yeah, the United States and ESPN's paying attention to not just Luka Doncic, but also all those NBA stars that are playing for Team Canada. There's relevancy now amongst all their viewers. So it is great. It is awesome. And let's hope Canada can keep this thing rolling.
Point 6, the Toronto Blue Jays have a half-game lead on Texas for the final wild-card playoff spot in the American League. Jays and Rangers both off today. Toronto will kick off a 10-game homestand on Friday against the Kansas City Royals, who are in last place in the Central Division. So up and down like a toilet seat this Blue Jays season. I feel somewhat sorry for their fans, which we have some hardcore ones in the control room. I know that at Game Plus Television, our TV carrier there in Toronto. How you guys doing? How's the old ticker? Because if the Blue Jays miss the playoffs, I ain't going to miss a second sleep. I'm not. But I will say this. You know, my sponsor, Bob, I reference him regularly. He texted me the other day, yesterday, and he asked me for 5 qualities of a good leader. Because he's giving a speech on Saturday, and he wanted my thoughts on that. And one of my 5, it wasn't the number one. Well, the number one was to lead by example. But one of the others was open-mindedness. You know, and I've had bad leaders, and I've had great leaders. So I've seen both sides. And I want to be open-minded about basketball. Listen, football and hockey are my jam, and I think that's enough, right? Like you look at Canada's number 1 hockey insider, Darren Dreger. Would you ask him what he thinks about the FIBA tournament? Or for that matter, the CFL? No. So I'm not going to analyze it, but I'm going to cheer for it. And same thing goes for soccer. I almost bought an Inter Miami shirt the other day, Moose, just so you know. Number 10, Messi on it, but it was Adidas. It was white mesh. Nobody wants to see that.
A little see-through. I see.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see that. So I'll keep looking for some Inter Miami gear. See you in hour 2.
See you then.
Ron Duguay coming up in hour 2 as well. But up next, Earl the Pearl from the rock group, the Steadies. Man, they're still talking about the show they put on the weekend of the Labor Day Classic. We'll talk about that, the summer tour. It's going to be great. Stick around. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RPShow gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RPShow gear at rodpetersenshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RPShow continues sprinkling in some comments from the audience. Kirk is watching on Game Plus TV, and he writes in, "Hi, Rod and Moose. The Argos are done. If Chad Kelly goes down, the only team in the CFL without a quality backup quarterback. Oh, and it's day 6 of Florida Heat." Thanks for the weather update, and stop worrying about what happens if. What if. I'll tell you something, Kirk. Worrying is like rocking in a rocking chair. Gives you something to do, doesn't get you anywhere. Free of charge, right there. Free advice for you, Kirk. Go for a walk. All right, Earl Pereira joins us. Earl, from the Steadies. Man, hey, listen, dude, you guys killed it. You killed it on Sunday, Labor Day Classic. I had people taking videos of it and sending it to me because I asked. Did you feel the show went as well as everybody else does, the Steadies at halftime of the Labor Day Classic at Mosaic Stadium?
I actually do. I'm probably the most critical of myself and our shows. And man, it was crazy. I don't think it could have gone better. Except for maybe getting a little, one more minute would have been nice. But they were kind of rushing us to like, you guys got to be done now. They give us a 20-second warning instead of a 2-minute warning. So it was a little bit of an abrupt ending, but man, what an experience.
Well, I don't know what I used to be a DJ, but I was a country DJ. I'm just not the biggest music guy. You tell me what that does for the Steadies, because you guys are killing it. As I see, your downloads are going crazy, your following's going up. But to sashay into the football world, the sports world like that, what is playing a sold-out football stadium in a marquee game do for a band like the Steadies?
I think it's huge for our band. Even leading up to this event and the show, we were touring all summer for sure. But this was easily the biggest show we've ever done. It's the second biggest show I've ever played in my life. The only thing to beat it was Wide Mouth Rolling Stones at Skydome, with probably 20,000 more people there, maybe 60,000 I think around there was there. But that was a long time ago. So this was I think for the awareness of the band and just. And not only that, it's one thing to get the opportunity, but you really have to deliver. And I wanted to make sure we did that so that the people in charge of booking us make them look good and know they made the right choice. Even we may not be as known as like the Sheepdogs who they had last year, but I felt very confident that we were going to get the job done.
Yeah, well, you got to start somewhere. And again, you guys are on your way, and you were a pillar of Wide Mouth Mason. We talked about the rock people would know that. What was your set list? How did you come up with the set list? And how did that all go down?
Well, yeah, that's the tricky part, right? You got 12, 13 minutes. So, we wanted to take a page out of the old Super Bowl shows where you just kind of chop your songs up a little bit. So you can, instead of playing full songs, we played our songs shorter. So we did shortened versions of them and try to squeeze a little bit more in just so people could see and hear a lot more of what makes the Steadies. And it felt like a longer show, even though it wasn't. So, we did I Don't Like Music, which is our adaptation of Dreadlock Holiday by 10cc. So it's like the hook is, I don't like music, I love it. So by the end of it, we were like, don't like Rough Riders, I love them. So like people, people really love that. And it's a really dancey, upbeat, high energy. So we came out of the gates with that. And then we did our own Steadies style, rock steady ska version of Come and Get Your Love by Redbone. So we threw a couple recognizable things at people right off the bat just to kind of win everybody over. That was the plan. And they're songs that we've recorded and released and have made our own. So it still feels like it's our versions of them. And then after that, we went straight originals. So we did a song called Rock Steady, which is pretty cool because it introduces the band in that song within the song. So that's kind of fun. And then Champion, which you guys helped us promote that, and thank you so much for that. And that was huge. I think that was maybe the highlight of the show because people really got into that one. And we've had all
got to be your anthem. Is that your anthem?
It is.
Is that the Steadies anthem?
I think
it's got to be.
It is now because earlier in the summer, I think we struggled with how to play it live because it was new. But by 33 shows later, it's just rocking live right now. We've got it down pat, and just to get, I think emotionally for a sporting event, Champion. I said something about I dedicated to everyone that was there because we're sports teams and bands are nothing without the fans, and the fans are the true champions. I said something like that, and that got everyone riled up. Of course. Yeah.
Exactly.
So people had their hands up and just and then we finished strong with a couple of Steadies classics. Love Revolution, which is super fast, almost like a soca groove. Our former guitarist who passed away was from Trinidad, so it has a bit of that kind of feel to it. Really party, like a hot kind of vibe, and but about spreading the love, bringing everyone together. And then we ended off with a bang with our rocker See You When I Go, which is the first song Steadies ever put out, and that did okay on the radio actually as well. So that was the set, man. Just nonstop bangers only.
Yeah, and your tour's now over. What's your synopsis of how that went across Canada this summer?
To be honest, man, this was the best summer of my life. I think I've had some great ones. Just played a lot of big shows and had some really great summers. This one was just so memorable because it was we did so many shows. That's probably the most shows I've ever played in one summer. First of all, we got to go all across Canada from Tofino to Montreal. So we got to hit almost everybody across the country. And there's just so many highlights, so many great shows, and we also had a lot of luck too. We got through Kelowna and BC 2 weeks before, the province got lit up on fire. So we got really lucky there. And just the Ness Creek Festival right in the middle of summer was a big one for us to headline that because we've never played it. I felt like we were the only band from Saskatchewan that's never played that festival, so that was really satisfying to do that. And then we knew what was going to happen to cap it off, and boy did we cap it off. You couldn't have asked for a bigger, better show than that.
You're just a special guy, man. I knew it was going to go great, but I had not anxiety because I knew you'd do great, but I was excited for you because I'm like, I know what's coming up at halftime. And you answered the bell, man. So we're out of time, man. And I'll tell you this: you got the best promoter manager going in Seth Anderson, and I feel honored to be partnered up with you guys, man. I really am. Thanks for allowing us to be part of that ride. Yeah, and
likewise.
Keep in touch,
it's so great that Seth could be there. Yeah, man, we'll do lots more in the future. And you're doing a great thing here. Next time, I want to come on and talk some sports with you.
Anytime,
I'm a sports guy. Yeah.
Let's line it up.
Blue Jays are in the playoffs.
Line it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to get there. All right.
You got to get there
Earl.
first.
Appreciate you.
Okay, man. Cheers.
Earl the man. Earl, Earl Pereira from the Steadies. Go check them out right now. Their music is, as he said, banger. We'll be right back with Audience Takeover and Sports Update. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RPShow gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RPShow gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
It's one big family, isn't it? Here on the old RP show, I feel like it is. The Rod Squad, our audience, our staff. So when I say that, I say this as lovingly as humanly possible. John Ohm writes in, when I said I wasn't the biggest basketball guy, he goes, Rod, go to a courtside NBA game. You'll be hooked, bro. I've been going to courtside NBA games since 1993. When I first went out to the West Coast with the Prince Albert Raiders, I rode a city bus to the Tacoma Dome where the Supersonics were playing while the Key Arena was being renovated. And they were playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. I've been going. It's not that I'm anti-basketball. What I'm saying is I'm not going to sit here on this show every day and debate or analyze or even attempt to analyze basketball because I don't know enough about it. I've tried to learn. Kids played basketball, and that was very confusing for me. I try to simplify my life. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. I think we've established, no, not you, me. I think we have established over the past couple of weeks that I'm not that smart. We all know that. So I'll just stick to hockey and football. So that's all I'm saying. I enjoy basketball. I go to the games, but I've never looked at working in basketball. Like, for instance, if you knock the ball out of bounds in basketball, I know that when you do it in football, the team that knocked it out of bounds gets possession in football. But in basketball, the team that knocks it out of bounds loses possession. I mean, this is too damn confusing for me. There's too much. See what I'm saying? I've been going. I'm good. I've gone to every sport. I keep coming back to the ones that I know. I'm going to stay there. Just so we all know, that's the explanation. I've been there, dude. I've been everywhere. John says, oh, I retract that statement then, Rod. LMAO. T. Will in Winnipeg, in Winnipeg goes, hey, Rod, I coached high school basketball, and I don't even understand it.
How about
See, that's the one thing. Well, look, guys. They have this rule in Canada over the back. They have all these rules. We were playing tournaments in the States, when I say we, the kids, and the rules were different down there. And I found that incredibly confusing. I'll just stick to hockey and football. I'll just stay over here. John, people seem to have fun with this. John says, I won't even mention golf then, Rod. Thank you. I appreciate it. And by the way, I'm not anti-golf either. Just don't ask me to play. We've gone through that. Sports update. The NFL season kicks off tonight as the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs host the Detroit Lions. Chiefs will raise the franchise's third Super Bowl banner, but maybe without all-pro tight end Travis Kelce as they begin their title defense. He hyperextended his knee during Tuesday's practice. We all know they'll be without D lineman Chris Jones on a contract holdout. Number 6 seed Coco Gauff can get one step closer to the first Grand Slam title of her career with a win at the U.S. Open semifinals tonight against the number 10 seed from Czechia. What's her name? It doesn't matter.
How about
Go Coco Gauff. USA, USA. Smith Falls, Ontario's Brooke Henderson and London, Ontario's Maddie Zurich tee off at the Kroger Queen City Championship in Ohio today. The 11th ranked Henderson enters the LPGA Tour event after finishing 40th at the Portland Classic last week. She still gets a check for though, right? Didn't Happy Gilmore get a check even when he finished like 100th? Our sports updates brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment featuring their Core 5. Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Think I'll crack a sober carpenter in the break. We'll be right back after this brief pause here on Game Plus and WQEE Radio. Ron Duguay and the Moose coming up in hour 2.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oleg in Winnipeg writes in, says, Rod is fighting so hard. My awesome comments. One day I'll win him over for one. Well, at least you're now speaking in first person. The fact that you've been writing in third person for several years, I refuse to read your comments in third person. So that's why, Oleg, if you spoke like a normal person, I'd read your comment. How about that?
How about that? This is the Rod Pedersen Show. How about that?
Hey, holy tiki fikey. Have we covered a lot of ground today? I'm sorry, guys. My cord's all wrapped around. Welcome to Hour 2 of your favorite sports talk show. They've told me to stop talking about daytime sports talk show because people are watching at night. They're watching in the afternoon, mornings. Yeah, we're all over, baby. I'm in South Florida. Darren Moose Dupont's here. Very exciting. It's kickoff in the National Football League tonight. What are you smiling at, Moose? What do you got?
You said they watch us in the morning, in the afternoon. I was getting that Sharon Lois and Bram song, in my head. They love me in the morning, in the afternoon. I can't.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't have that one. I don't have that song.
No?
Was that a morning show when you were a kid? Sharon Lois and Bram?
Yeah. Not you? No?
That's us. Okay, we had it, but I didn't watch it. I was more of a Mr. Dress-Up guy, definitely Sesame Street. Yeah.
Classics.
And, yeah. What did we cover last hour, just for those that just tuned in? We talked about, how much we love the Canadian Football League. They've shipped me a shipment of a lot of great things. CFL Guide and Record Book. I mean, it's not a big shock that I am what you would call a CFL guy. The football, some hats. They call it a bucket hat. I believe they've called it a Tilly hat in the past. Some CFL ball caps. I'm a big CFL guy. And as we get into the fall here, we're on national television. CFL's like, hey, don't forget about us. And I appreciate it. And I know there's a lot of other media that have taken to social media and whining and saying, why not us? Some that probably haven't gone to social media but are saying, why not us? You know, it was. I saw Randy did do a lot of interviews last week, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. I don't know why they sent me this, but I appreciate it. Other than I've been covering the league since 1991. I don't know. I just appreciate them. And it was to kick off Labor Day weekend. All the stadiums were packed. I don't think our show had anything to do with the stadiums being packed, but it can't hurt. You know, so all I can say is thank you to the CFL for doing that. And we did, there was a hot topic there last hour. Sorry, I'm looking for my Sober Carpenter beer. I have more than just one. This is the Black IPA Moose. How cool is that can, by the way?
That looks cool.
It reminds me of the old Vancouver Voodoo roller hockey team. That's long before your time. You were still playing in the playpen when the Vancouver Voodoo were playing, and it was owned by Tiger Williams. Imagine a hockey league that they played on inline skates in the summer. Okay, everybody, story time. Help me out with this. Where were all the teams? Apparently, they had one down here in South Florida. Ottawa for sure, because one of the owners, Ash, lives here in West Palm Beach, was involved with that team. He might have been one of the owners. But the Vancouver Voodoo is the team I remember the most because of their zany uniforms, and Tiger owned them. It was long before I knew Tiger. Allie in Texas writes in. She says, I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. I love you in the evening underneath the moon.
That's it.
That's the one.
That's the one.
I was watching something else.
That's okay.
Oh, this is some good stuff, man. It's the Discovery Series. Now, when I go to Total Wine and Spirits over here at Boca Town Center, which incidentally is where I got my haircut yesterday too, I was just going to buy the other IPA, but I think I'll buy the variety pack again. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in. He says, the league needs more league merch because that bucket hat is fire. It is. And the problem is my head's too big. And I don't feel like I have an overly large head. But I said to Serena, this is a little tight on my head. Would you wear it? She's like, absolutely, I'll wear it. So I'll stick to the ball cap, and she'll be wearing this around. But I do feel that, do you think the leagues should sell merch? Because I do. I really do. But there's got to be a reason why they don't. En masse.
Yeah, I think mostly because when it comes down to it, you'd rather wear your team's gear than the league gear, and that's why you see a lot of league logos on team gear. You know, you'll see like, well, I don't know if there's a league logo on this, but you'll see your team logo here and then the league logo over on the shoulder or on the back or somewhere else. So I think they just try and partner that way because for the most part, you don't often see people wear the league gear, but the league gear is so nice for somebody like us who are just fans of the whole league, right? Who don't necessarily align with just one team. I think it's cool. So, yeah, it's great to see the merch out there, and I hope more of it's available.
Buffalo Bill in North Dakota has realized that. He's a fan of the entire CFL now, not just like me. This is funny. Jay in Winnipeg says, RP, getting sauced. Isn't it a little early, Roddy? I guess he wasn't paying attention when I said Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beer. I'm assuming Jay's joking. Maybe not. I'll say this. Ryan in Toronto writes, and he says, I agree. More leagues should have gear. I'd wear it for sure. Oh, and Monty in Saskatoon, by the way, says, how is the beer, Rod? It's fantastic, and just to clarify, it's non-alcoholic craft beer. Apparently, Kevin the Medium, our sales guy, who did the deal with Sober Carpenter, I guess you and him were talking the other day. You guys were worried about me cracking a beer, a non-alcoholic craft beer on the air, if that was even legal by CRTC standards. Do you understand I've been in the business since 1988? I was driving the other day, and I had one of those moments. I was adding up the years I've been in this business. I was like, 35 years, bro. I wasn't sticking my chest out about that. Like, you're freaking old. You're old. Anyways, we'd be like popping a Diet Coke on the air. It ain't illegal. Yeah. By the way, you can do anything these days. You could probably smoke a joint or smoke crack on TV, and they're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, let's not find out.
Troy, it won't be me. Troy in Toronto writes, and he says, you helped influence this guy to go back to live CFL games after many years of not even watching one game live or televised. So you do have some influence. Well, thank you for that. Cheers. Go get some sober Carpenter. Oh, and regarding the roller hockey, it was RHI, Roller Hockey International. Nelson says Calgary had a team, Anaheim, LA, Florida, Oakland, Toronto, Edmonton, Montreal. Basically, a summer NHL. Yeah, I don't know why.
Wow.
Well, I don't really know why it didn't work. Somebody going to have to tell me why it didn't work. I watched it, but I mean, I'm weird. You know what I mean? Like, everybody knows that. We've established that. I'm not sure that it was the cool thing to do. And also in Canada, there's a couple things playing against you there. People don't really want to be inside in the summer. And here in Florida, they don't want to be inside at all. They don't. Yeah. They don't want to be inside ever. You at least came here. Was that your first trip to Florida when you came here, Moose?
First time. That was it.
What did you think? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I didn't see any gators, but we saw the glades, and that was cool. It was cool. I mean, I've done the West Coast. I've been other places, but Florida was one place I've never been. And you know what? You did a really good job selling it, because it is everything that you say it is. And got to go to the beach house and everywhere else. And for me, to be honest, from being out here in Ontario as opposed to, back home in Saskatchewan, it's going to be a lot easier for me to get down to Florida for the next visit. So I'm kind of like trying to figure out on the calendar, when can I come back? Because it was pretty great.
Or it's like a 2.5, 3 hour flight from Toronto. It's nothing.
Piece of cake.
Colin in Ottawa watching, he says, I don't want to know what the opposite of a sober carpenter is and what happens to him or her with their tools. Drunk carpenter. Yeah, that title never got out of the box. No. You know what I mean? That's like To Catch a Contractor. Remember that show? I love that show, To Catch a Contractor. Robin in Prince Albert writes in, he says, yep, you can smoke a joint on TV, but heaven forbid you should swear. Well, unless you're Schitt's Creek. Sorry, Atlanta. That's not a swear, by the way. S-C-H-I-T-T. S-C-H-I-T-T. Schitt's Creek. CBC produced show. You got it on Netflix. Apparently, the Edmonton Sled Dogs was a team. We're talking about 30 years ago. Nelson, I'm too lazy to look it up. Can you look it up? What were the team names? Again, the only team I remember really was the Vancouver Voodoo. Nelson does say, remember when the CRTC didn't let you say beer or alcoholic drinks on the radio, and you had to come up with 100 different ways to say adult beverages? Yeah. Oh, wait, hey. Wayne in BC says, it's humorous when you say you're old, Rod. I got 20 years on you, so imagine how I feel. LOL. Actually, I'm feeling glad that I'm still alive. Well, you should. The thing is, I just got a lot of years on this. But yeah, I'm 50, but I got a lot of living in that. And I started in this business at 16. There's a lot of years. You wonder why? When I told some friends that I was moving to Florida a couple of years ago, I don't want to say who, but just a football guy in the States, he's like, don't go to Florida. It's old and worn out. I'm like, yeah, I'm old and worn out. Let me be. Leave me alone.
You know what? Go where you're happy.
Well, and I've obviously done that. The Toronto Planets. Thank you, Nelson, for answering the bell and getting us back on track. Roller Hockey International. I probably will never happen again. And as a matter of fact, I don't want a roller hockey team in South Florida. I want a lacrosse team. Can we get on that? The National Lacrosse League. I'd be the biggest advocate of lacrosse, the NLL here in South Florida, if they did it. Keep them coming. The Anaheim Bullfrogs, the Toronto Planets. What else, Nelson? Tell me. By the way, a little later on, we will play Deal or No Deal. That will be, Moose, in segment 3 here of hour 2. So you won't be done here after this segment. I got some good betting lines. I marked up my CFL guide and record book. Eugene Lewis is on the cover because why? Why, Darren? Why? Do you know the answer to that? He was a league MVP last year. Boo.
That's right. And he was at our party.
Always the. Yep. Oh, yeah. He lives down here. Did you not talk to him around the pool table? Didn't he say he's from Boca or lives close to Boca?
Yeah, I think so. I'd have to double check that, but we had a great time with Eugene Lewis and love that guy.
Lucky Whitehead played here at FAU. How about that? Terry the lawyer. He will for now and forever be known as Terry the lawyer, and he wants to be known as that. He's written in and says, I've got shoes your age, Rod. Don't sit and tell me that I'm young, because I don't want to be young. I want to be old and I want to be cranky. That's what I want to be. That's the image I want. Drinking my non-alcoholic beer, living in Florida. I'm basically Frank Costanza.
And that's the dream. It's the dream.
Yeah, it is for me. I'm not like you made a really good point. You're like, you, Rod, think Florida's the greatest place in the world. Maybe not everybody does, but you think that. Yeah. So that's good. Right?
How much fun did we have that? We're coming to Florida. We're going to be in the pools.
You think you're going to keep us out of Florida? The Calgary Rads. Thank you. These are the names of the teams. The Florida Hammerheads.
That's good.
How about that? The Montreal Roadrunners. He goes on to say that there are 30 teams. Yeah, keep them coming. Keep them coming. The Atlanta Fire Ants. What do you think about that? I think the zanier the names, the better. Like if you and I had a sports team of whatever league, we would come up with the craziest name. That's why I've said it a million times. When the Vancouver Giants had their name the team unveiling, I'm like, say that this is a joke? Whatever year that was, early 2000s. The Vancouver Giants, you can't come up with something better than the Vancouver Giants? When we've got the River Ants, the Fire Ants, the Rhinos, the Daredevils, the Voodoo. That's the best you can do. Monty in Saskatoon. You know Monty.
Yes.
He says, Rod is a madman on this show. Thanks for noticing. Ron Duguay next. We got some big questions for him and comments. Moose and I will play CFL, Deal or No Deal, later on in hour 2. The crown is ready to go. Got it here in Florida. Aye. Here it is. It's ready to go. Later on, we'll be doing our picks for Week 14 in the CFL. Friday, on a Football Friday, we will be doing our NFL Deal or No Deal for Bet Regal. And I'll drop it right now. Paul LaPolice and Jim Barker will be with us tomorrow. Moose, I'll see you back. Get your picks ready.
I'm ready.
He was Bon Jovi before there was Bon Jovi. Ron Duguay, NHL great, joins us next. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
So great to be back on the air in this business. It's great to be anywhere, I'll tell you that. But it's great to bring in our next guest, Ron Duguay, the pride of Sudbury, Ontario. 860 NHL games, Kings, Rangers, Penguins, as we all know. Joining us from St. Augustine, Florida. How you doing, Dukes? Been far too long.
Yeah, hi, I'm doing well. By the way, I'm not in St. Augustine. I'm just north of St. Augustine, which is Ponte Vedra Beach. If you're familiar with golfing and the TPC and the Players Championship, I'm like right across the street. So that's where I'm at, close to the beach. And if anyone's paying attention to what I do, most of the time I'm on my bike cycling. And one announcement that I have to make, since we've talked last, I've lost 10 pounds.
Where'd they go?
Well, I stopped drinking beer.
Hey, you got to get this non-alcoholic stuff, Dukes. Sober Carpenter. It's available here in Florida, which, by the way, folks, trust me, I think we will talk hockey at some point. But this has been burning. It's been far too long since I've had you on. We drove through that area New Year's last year. And what is it about that St. Augustine area, then, that's like the pecan capital of the world? There's all these signs for pecans and stuff on the highway. What's special about that?
Well, St. Augustine is the oldest city in the United States. And so it's something that's, when you're in Ponte Vedra Beach or near Jacksonville, when you go up to St. Augustine, it's like another world. You're going back in time. And it's only 30 minutes away from me. So that's why I enjoy going there. The pecans are available and a lot of other things, but it's unique in a way where it's an older city and it's on the beach. And so I enjoy going there just for something different.
Yeah, well, hey, I bought a book on the history of Florida. Apparently a lot went down before I showed up, Dukes, and there's a lot of people here that have never even left the state. They're adults. There's just so much to do. Where else would you go? It's so great. Hey, so then the next burning question for me. I made predictions for the Metropolitan Division a couple weeks ago, and I had the Rangers missing the playoffs. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with John Shannon, the Hall of Fame executive producer, Hockey Night in Canada, turned analyst in Canada. I think he wanted to submit me for a drug test that I had the Rangers missing the playoffs this year. Am I that out to lunch?
No, because of when you look at the other teams and you look in the past, it's so tight, so close. When you say missing the playoffs, they can miss the playoffs by 2 points. That's how close it is. And then you got to look at the team. You got to look at the other teams in comparison. And you look at like Pittsburgh. I believe Pittsburgh's going to make the playoffs. They had Carlson. You look at the Devils. The Devils, my goodness, they eliminated the Rangers in the first round, so they got to deal with them. So there's going to be a lot of tight games. Now, having said that, and these close matches, goaltending plays a premium. And when you look at Ranger goaltending, I think, they're twosome. They added Jonathan Quick. Because of those two, I think Jonathan Quick will be able to win a few more games as a backup. So it's going to be close, going to be tight. But you saying they may not make the playoffs doesn't mean they're not going to have a good season. They're going to have a good season. They're going to be tough. They're going to be close like they were last year. Did they really improve? Well, that remains to be seen. They got a whole new coaching staff with Peter Laviolette, and he added Housley and Pekka. I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make. They added Wheeler, which, they lost Tarasenko. That's kind of an even trade there. They haven't signed Patrick Kane yet. And so the team is essentially about the same. And so we're going to see a lot of good stuff. They're going to be fun. They're going to be exciting to watch. But until we get started, until we get into that first month, I want them to the playoffs. Are they more of a threat than they were last year? I don't believe so as of right now.
Well, let's dig into it a little further. That's what I love about this show. We have the opportunity to do that. Similar team coming back, but okay, Jonathan Quick signed. He'll be a backup to Igor Shesterkin, obviously. Jonathan Quick, where did that come from? But to walk it back, Dukes, Patrick Kane acquired for a playoff run. Tarasenko for a playoff run. It didn't happen. And the coach gets fired. It was like a bomb went off at MSG. Just talk about that for a second.
Well, let's talk about Gerard Gallant getting fired. So obviously there was some disagreements between him and Drury on, I have to believe it's on players. I don't know if Patrick Kane was someone that was really desired by Gerard Gallant. I don't think that was his type of player, but they bring him in. I wasn't impressed with him when I first saw him. When his first 2 weeks, he looked out of shape. He didn't look like he had much leg strength. Of course, he's got great hands. He's good on the power play. He got better towards the playoffs, but he's not the guy that's going to take you over the hump. I don't think so. Only because I'm not seeing. Because if you watch him in a lot of battles are one-on-one battles, right, in the corners. He's just a little guy, and he was getting pushed off the puck, so he's not that guy. Tarasenko, same thing. When he first got in there, he didn't look in great shape. Now, he picked it up, and he looked good in the playoffs. I would have brought him back, assuming you can get him at the right price. But with Gerard Gallant and Chris Drury, there had to been, I'd love to have been a fly on the wall, there had to have been some sort of disagreement on stuff. And normally it's on players and how you use your players. And with Gerard Gallant, he doesn't bend, right? We've seen him get fired in the past, and I'm assuming it's a disagreement between him and the manager. and he believes in what he believes. And I love Gerard because he's a great guy. But if he doesn't agree with you, he's going to let you know. And if it doesn't go well, then possibly you're going to get fired. I think that's what happened. From what I saw from his coaching technique, you look at the results, he's gotten some good results. Although I think he got outplayed in the playoffs against New Jersey. I would have tweaked and done a few things differently playing against New Jersey because they're such a fast team. But other than that, I think Gerard was doing a good job. Players were responding. They seemed to like him. He's not a warm and fuzzy type of guy. He's not a guy that gets too close to his players. Now, we may see something different in Peter Laviolette. But with Gerard Gallant, he is who he is, and I loved I love his demeanor, and I love his toughness.
We're going to find out how this goes because Mike Babcock's in Columbus. And I shouldn't laugh, but I'm like, my God. I thought everybody hated him. Daryl Sutter fired in Calgary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? Mind you, here in Florida, Paul Maurice takes the Panthers to the Stanley Cup final in his first season, and he is that kind of guy we believe that the players love. I mean, Ron, what's the answer? I guess nobody's really got that answer, or everybody would do it.
Well, you have to look at, because when I look back at my career and some of the coaches I've had, I can like a coach that's a real likable guy, but I also didn't mind a guy who was tough and who walked in and commanded the room. Players weren't commanding the room. The coach was. And I appreciated those guys. So we have to look at the type of player that's playing in the NHL now, right? And it's just not the same, especially when they walk in and in their first years in NHL, money makes a difference. And so are we looking at a softer player physically and mentally that's playing in the NHL now where they have a tough time dealing with these coaches that are tough coaches? And so it's probably a combination of both. You want a likable coach who's respected. How does he get respected? Well, you get respect in different ways. He just has to know how to manage his players. Now, you look at guys that are still around, Tortorella. You look at Mike Keenan, guys like that. Well, they got the most out of their players. Now, after a while, it was a little bit too much with that constant pressure. So you have to have that balance. And I think that's what we saw in Paul Maurice. A very knowledgeable guy, very likable guy. And I think we're going to see some of the same stuff with Peter Laviolette.
Well, we just had Chris Dingman on yesterday. Won a Stanley Cup with Tortorella in Tampa. Won a Stanley Cup with Bob Hartley in Colorado. He said two of the hardest-ass guys you'd ever know, and he loved them. But, not everybody necessarily does. I got to ask you this. You mentioned New Jersey a couple of times. Their coach, Lindy Ruff, was named Coach of the Year last year, and I think their GM probably should have got more consideration, Tom Fitzgerald. But I also think they could be a flash in the pan. Like, do you think they're going to be just as good coming back this year?
I don't see why not. When you look at their game, and I like it, and when I mentioned like a guy like Tortorella, after a while, it becomes too much. Lindy Ruff, he's got that balance. He's a stern guy, but he's a light guy. And I like, he's learned a lot. He's been around a long time. He's adapted to the new type of game that's being played. Knowing how to use your players on offense and how to defend, play without the puck and all that. And I think Lindy Ruff's got it figured out. And they've figured out in New Jersey that the game's playing faster. So you need players that can play fast with skill, but still play with a bite, right? Still having that passion in them. And going back to the Rangers, I think that's what was missing with the New York Rangers. And I think Gerard Gallant saw I think we're seeing some frustration out of him because he didn't have the type of players that he wanted. So I don't see anything different in New Jersey. They're going to play fast. They're going to play hard. They're hard to play against. If they get goaltending, they're going to be in the playoffs again.
I don't mind going back to the Rangers. I love the time that I spent in Calgary, about 6 months last year. It was around the NHL people. And they said that it was like game 3 or 4. It was a blow-up between Gallant and Drury. Led to his eventual firing. So, yeah, you've centered on it. And then down here in South Florida, I'm around the hockey people all the time. It's great. But where you're at, how many hockey people you run into on a day-to-day basis?
Well, you'll run into New Yorkers everywhere. And it's funny, every time I go to my local pub here, I sit there minding my own business, of course, and I always run into New Yorkers who are very passionate people. They love the Rangers, but they love hockey. So yeah, I do. I get to talk hockey here locally, and of course, we have a minor league East Coast team here in Jacksonville. And I don't know if you know this, but I did coach 4 years of minor league hockey in Jacksonville. So I don't get recognized for that. Most people don't even remember that, but I did win a championship here in Jacksonville, and no championship has ever been won in Jacksonville. So I take pride in having done that in my short coaching career. But yeah, whenever I can be anywhere, and I run into New Yorkers that like to reflect and to remind me, which I appreciate, they remind me what I meant to them as far as, the entertainment value that I brought on and off the ice, right? Because the game is the game, play hard, be noticeable on the ice, but have someone, when people leave the building, they got to be able to say, that number 10, he's so-and-so. They make comments. And so I hear it all the time, and I really appreciate it. And I just I have this question down here, and on wanting to ask you about Rangers in Lundqvist. So Lundqvist going into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
I like Lundqvist. And I like what he's done and what he did for the New York Rangers. They won a lot of games, but they did not win a Stanley Cup. So when you first heard of Lundqvist going into the Hall of Fame without having won a Stanley Cup, what were your thoughts on that? Just curious.
Thanks for the question. Number one, I'm a goalie guy. So anytime a goalie goes into the Hall of Fame, I'm pumped for him. Number two, I think he's got the most wins of any goalie that doesn't have a Stanley Cup. It's a little like Tommy John. He's got the most wins of any pitcher not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? And that's not to say Tommy John's a Hall of Famer, but for me, King Hendrick, not his fault they don't have a Stanley Cup. Took him to the Stanley Cup, lost to the Los Angeles Kings, and I mean, you played there for a long time. Is he not the face of New York Rangers goaltending? It's not John Davidson. It's not anybody. Beezer. Yeah. Hang on, Mike Richter. Hang on, I might have spoke too soon.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dukes. Richter won a Stanley Cup. You're right.
Well, yeah.
Are they all in the Hall of Fame?
My question is, so my question about Lundqvist, are there any goaltender in the Hall of Fame without having won a Stanley Cup?
Well, listen, don't get me going about the Hall of Fame, because I've spent most of the last 6 months right beside Theron Fleury, is one of my closest friends, and he's not in there. So I got a problem with the Hall of Fame and what it's become. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, this summer, Mike Vernon went into the Hall of Fame, and I was in Calgary for it. Everybody was excited about that. I'd have to look it up, but Lindros is in there. Marcel Dion, greatest player to ever win a Stanley Cup. So why can't goalies? If those guys can go in, why can't goalies go in without winning a Stanley Cup?
Well, I only bring it up because that was the first thing that came to mind for me, because I was doing television that whole time. And he had some pretty good teams in front of him, and they lost to the Kings in 14, which I think the Kings were a better team, but he still didn't win a Stanley Cup. So that's why I was right away. I thought, well, he didn't win a Stanley Cup. He's a great goaltender, but he never won. So I was wondering how guys like yourself, I'm assuming you had discussed it before, whether it was enough to be in the Hall of Fame. But like you're saying, they've kind of changed on who belongs and who doesn't. We've seen some of that. Marcel Dion, which I played against my whole career, which I loved Marcel, put up some big numbers, but he didn't have the team around him to be able to win a Stanley Cup. So I understand Marcel Dion. Eric Lindros.
Sure.
Eric Lindros, well, is a very impactful player in the NHL. So I guess we can go down the list. So I just thought I'd ask that, as long as we're talking about the New York Rangers.
We could sit here all day. Here's one that's in the Hall of Fame that doesn't have a Stanley Cup. Vladislav Tretiak. Ever heard of him? I say that jokingly, of course. I say that jokingly. But these guys like Tony Esposito, Hasek, Plant, Belfour, Glenn Hall, a lot of these guys were black and white era. Leafs winning the Stanley Cup era. You know what I mean? Everybody won a Stanley Cup back then. So as you know, it's hard hard to win a Stanley Cup, but we're out of time. I appreciate
speaking
this. I
of
hope we
Stanley
can do
Cup,
it again. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the Leafs. Next time we got to talk about the Leafs because finally they've going in a different direction. They're realizing when they're looking at other teams winning the Stanley Cup, you got to have toughness. You got to have toughness. It can't be all skill. And so they've made some changes. So I'm anxious to see how the Leafs do this year.
Well, here's the thing. Off the top of the show today, I was on a show last night. Absolutely everybody has the Leafs picked to be first place in the Atlantic Division. And our co-host Darren's a big Leaf fan. I said, every year you guys say it's your year in Toronto, but now everybody's saying it's your year. That's the difference, right? So we'll see how they handle that. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate you.
Talk to you later. Bye.
NHL icon Ron Duguay. We'll be right back with CFL Deal or No Deal for our exclusive betting partner, Bet Regal. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Here we go, live from South Florida on the RP Show. Yeah, do not adjust your sets if that's what you're doing. I know we're on the radio in Atlanta, and shout out to Ryan O'Radio there. Thank you, Ryan O'Radio. Says King Rod. You're the only guy that refers to me as that, so thanks. Let's bring in Darren Moose DuPont now, if you don't mind, as we get ready to play. It never gets old, right? It never.
No, and the whole set is kind of coming together.
Isn't it, though?
Yes.
Well, it's home. It's home. It's officially home, everybody. Breaking news. Florida is Rod's home. Get used to it. Allie in Texas writes in, and she says, love when Ron is on the show. Of course you do. You're female. He looks good now. Darren, what do you think he looked like 40 years ago?
Ooh, I know, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Get out of here with your Raylan Givens.
Blessed.
From Justified. Hey, say what?
He's blessed. He's blessed. The older he looks, the better. The older he gets, the better he looks, and he knows it. Yeah.
And he knows it. Knows he's blessed. I was in a bar minding my own business, of course. Did you listen to the interview? Oh, and by the way, Jersey Jim is listening in New Jersey. He's listening on WQEE, and he writes in and says, Roberto Luongo, goalie without a Stanley Cup. So thank you for that. I noticed that as well. He comes on here and throws questions at me. Get Ron Duguay. Troy in Toronto says, please don't pick the Leafs to win. We don't need the jinx. I like when nobody but us Leaf fans think this is the year we're going to win the cup. What do you mean? Every year you think that. That's the problem, guys. Oh, and from the text line, I just can't wait until overtime. Larry Sweet writes in from North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, regarding me being 50. 50 is nifty. He says, Rod, I have 23 years on you. Today being my birthday. Happy to get another year. Follow my son, Chris, and go Argos. You're only as old as you feel. And of course, I feel great. Dougal Cameron in Calgary. Did you meet Dougal? Did you have the opportunity to meet Dougal?
Great question.
He always comes down to the show at the casino wearing Stamps gear. Yeah. He says, Rod, it's just cruel to be guzzling Sober Carpenter on television when I can't buy it in Calgary as they are sold out. Hey, news flash, everybody. I know our sales guys don't like me speaking out of turn, but I'll just say Sober Carpenter said this is the best advertising they've ever done.
I like it.
It's sold out everywhere. It's sold out everywhere. Thanks to you, people, the audience. Yeah. And Jim in Balgoni writes in, he says, Roddy knows his place in the sports world. He loves and is top-notch. More people need to learn to stay in their own lane in many aspects of life. Good day, all. I don't know enough about basketball, so I don't analyze it. Shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Okay. I wish other people would stay away from things they don't know about. But I feel like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay. We're playing CFL Deal or No Deal for our exclusive betting partner, Bet Regal, where I give the point spreads for the Week 14 games in the CFL. Darren decides if he's going to take the bet or not from the Bet Regal odds makers. Let's go. Friday night kicks off Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Ottawa Red Blacks. Ottawa is favored by 4 at home. Deal or no deal, Moose?
No deal. Hamilton will bounce back.
I think that it will be a crummy night. Ottawa will win and cover. Saturday, everybody's talking about the doubleheader, the tripleheader. Football day in Canada begins with Montreal at Toronto. The Argos are favored by 10. Deal or no deal?
I'll take the deal. I'm a real big Argo guy right now.
You would. I'm a pro Fajardo guy, and I say Montreal will beat the spread. The middle game, the Banjo Bowl. Sask at Winnipeg. Winnipeg favored by 8.5. Deal or no deal?
I'm going to say no deal. Although there's a chance they could blow them out, I think Saskatchewan will keep this a little closer after thinking about this for a while.
I'll take the deal. I picked the Riders to win on Labor Day and was right. I'll pick the Bombers to cover 8.5 in the Banjo Bowl. And finally, Calgary at Edmonton. Elks favored by 2 in the Battle of Alberta. Deal or no deal?
I'll take the deal. I don't think they'll let a lead slip away or give up 22 fourth quarter points. I think they'll be out to get some revenge here.
I think Calgary will win. They're just a better team. Folks, download the Bet Regal app for all the point spreads of all your favorite football games. Sign up and get playing at Bet Regal today. Moose, you're done. I'm going to come back with a sports update and more audience comments. So thanks for playing. Hope you had as much fun as I did.
Great day, and enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you. You as well. He's talking about the NFL lid lifter. The Chiefs home to the Lions. We'll be right back with Overtime for Overtime Hockey Lanes. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RPShow gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RPShow gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Okay, everybody, here we go. Overtime's brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. What a great fit. Where skill and fun collide, or as I call them, an amusement park for hockey players. It's so great. Just go check them out, 28th Street Northeast in Calgary. Tell them Rod sent you. Where I think they're now watching the show every day. Right, guys? Michelle and Randy over there? As we're now on Shaw, Rogers, Channel 230. That's close to 2 million more homes in Western Canada, whose minds I'm infecting daily. Sports update. The Kansas City Chiefs will raise their Super Bowl championship banner before tonight's NFL season opener against Detroit. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes will be under center, but the Chiefs could be missing tight end Travis Kelce and lineman Chris Jones. Kelce has a knee injury, and Jones is holding out for a new deal. Pretty sure they're not going to have that signed in time for kickoff. The Canadian men's basketball team is preparing for Friday's semifinal game against Serbia at the World Cup in Manila. It's Canada's first ever appearance in the Final Four at this tournament. Here's hoping they're not just happy to be there, that they're going to finish this whole thing off. The USA will meet Germany in the other semifinal. Blue Jays have a half-game lead on Texas for the last wild card spot in the American League. Jays and Rangers both have the day off. Toronto kicking off a 10-game homestand on Friday against the Kansas City Royals, who are in last place in the Central Division. Hockey news. 3 players who helped the U.S. win World Hockey Gold last April are signing with Boston of the Professional Women's Hockey League. Hillary Knight, Ariane Franco, and Megan Keller all inked 3-year deals. The puck will drop on the PWHL season in January. Our sports updates are brought to you daily by our friends at Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Check them out. Common Crown Brewing. I always say this is audience takeover time. I read a very large chunk of the messages on the text line earlier, last segment, 902-518-3033. It's for EMJ Marketing. EMJ Marketing provides the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Contact them today, Joe at emjmarketing.com. Jeff Kozak has written in from the Queen City. He says, hey, Rod, just watching your show for the first time in a long time. Have to work for a living? LOL. Great show today. We'll be watching more. Well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Where you been? I knew that there would be room in the sports landscape, particularly in Canada, for a daytime sports talk show. And 10 a.m. to noon. That's why, here we are again, introducing ourselves to the new viewers. Darren gave me free reign, because it was he and Paul's idea to do this show. He goes, when do you want to air it? And I said, for a few reasons, 10 a.m. Mountain. And at that time, we were in Sask. I said, that's when I'm at my best, i.e. with it. Not late in the day. I used to do a radio show at 4 p.m. I was ready to have a nap by then. Secondly, there's nobody else talking sports in Canada at this time of day. And there still really isn't. Certainly not on national television live. So, yeah, and then the podcast thing took hold and people are listening at all other times. We hit the radio in Atlanta, which is a whole other thing. I'll continue to say what we're getting out of Atlanta is that people love the show because it's just different than everything else. You're still talking about the NFL. You're still talking about other leagues, but you're doing it differently. Thanks for noticing. Troy in Toronto says, I have been a Leafs fan for 55 years, and I would say 5 of those 50 years I actually thought they would win. I think us Leafs fans are just a glutton for punishment. That's the one thing you don't understand. When you're from a market or a region that doesn't have an NHL team, we at least have a choice who we want to cheer for. You grow up in Toronto, you got to cheer for Toronto, right? And you can't turn away. You grow up in Edmonton, you got to cheer for the Oilers, good times and bad. But I've always said I'll cheer for whoever the hell I want. Monty in Saskatoon writes in, says, I love you, Rod. I love you too, Monty. Thanks for being here every day. I really appreciate it. 902-518-3033 is the number to text us here. You just got a couple moments to do it. We are live. I know it's a little bit mind-bending that you can send a message directly to the guy in the screen or on the radio, but it does happen. John in Edmonton, whom I appreciate you tuning into our Twitter space last night, John. I noticed that you were there as we talked NHL Atlantic Division with reps from all teams in the Atlantic. John says, where did it go here? He says, did you talk about Reed Clark stepping down as president and CEO of the Edmonton Stingers? No, we didn't. And my guess is if you turned in Edmonton Sports Radio right now, which you probably have, or Dustin Nielsen's new show, they ain't talking about it either. Just putting that out there. I didn't write down sports on tap for tonight, but we have to. I haven't talked enough about our poll question, however, for our friends at Key Auto Group. And let me just update that while we have a moment before we go off air for the day. Who will be the MVP of the NFL season? Very tough question to answer on the opening day. But it's like a split for, and nobody knows. 30% say Joe Burrow, the Bengals. 26% say Patrick Mahomes. 25% say other. And 19% say Josh Allen, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Fun to talk about, but nobody knows. Tomorrow, Paul LaPolice from the CFL on TSN. He's a New Hampshire guy. Coach of 3 CFL teams in the past. And Jim Barker, his usual Friday segment, will be with us. Jim Barker presented as also by EMJ Marketing. I think I lost my pen. I'm trying to find something to throw. I found something. A CFL hat. So it's been a great day. I thank the CFL for finding us here in South Florida, sending us all these great gifts, the football, couple hats, the guide and record book. It'll be a lot of CFL tomorrow on a Football Friday. Noon Eastern. Join us then. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Who has more fun than us?